Ascended Heroes cards are dropping down way quicker than expected, though when's it gonna stop? Though before I get into today's video, I actually am gifting another Ethan's Typhlosion illustration rare. Now to know if you won this card, if I do reply to your comment with this shiny magic carp emoji, then well done, this card is coming to you. And hey, while we're on the topic of giveaways, I will actually be opening an entire Japanese 151 booster box and giving away all the hits, along with some prismatic evolutions on my upcoming Whatnot stream on 1st of March, 6 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be speaking more about that stream a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, I mean, Ascended Heroes is a straight up lesson, and I think a lot of collectors are learning this the hard way because they over leverage themselves too quickly because, you know, thoughts of, hey, I'm gonna miss out, or oh, look, these prices are so expensive, and if I don't get it right now, they're gonna drop. But what you really need to look at is what's happening with the market right now and how quick and brutal some price drops can be. All right, here we're on the Mega Feraligatr, and right there you can see for 236 US, which was that pre-release price point. Obviously, you know, those prices are usually a little bit overinflated, but you can see that the market was really expecting a lot for these special illustration rares, and right now it's selling for 168 US, so definitely a big price drop for that Mega Feraligatr. To be honest, I'm gonna be real with you, Ascended Heroes to me has been a set that I'm just looking out. Like, I'm just watching Ascended Heroes from afar. To be honest, Ascended Heroes has been, to me, it's been very sloppy how it's come out, and I feel like the market is responding to that as well. I also feel, and I've mentioned it before, that I don't think the hype for Ascended Heroes is as strong as it was for a lot of these other cards as well, so that is something to consider. Now, moving on to the Pikachu Special Illustration Rare, of course, Ascended Heroes does have two Pikachu SIRs. This one in particular is definitely the better looking artwork, and of course, it's got a lot of Pikachu fans have come out for this card in particular. But interestingly, you can see it was selling for $526. Right now, selling for around $480. Not a big price drop. I'd be monitoring this card in particular. This card definitely has the chance to become one of the more iconic cards from the era. I mean, you've got the Mega Charizard X from the Mega Evolution era. That's massive. That's pretty much looking like the front runner. I'm not saying that this card's going to compete with that, but in terms of the popularity and how many Pikachu collectors are out there, I wouldn't just throw this one out as well. I wouldn't just brush it on the side. This one definitely has potential as well. Moving on to the terrestrialized Pikachu, this one was selling for $397, right now selling for $349. It's not as big as the Mega Feraligatr. That was a massive price drop. This one isn't that big, but I think it is telling of the times. I think it's showing that the community is a little bit less likely to be, you can't just have every card be 500 US, and that's what's been happening with Pokemon cards recently. It just feels like every card is this massive, high, huge price point, and at some point that had to calm down as well, and I think we're kind of experiencing that right now. Now, another one that's interesting is the Team Rocket's Mewtwo. A lot of a debate between, I personally prefer Destined Rivals, though I've kind of grown to like this new artwork as well. You know, I'd love to know your thoughts, or do you prefer this one or the other Team Rocket's Mewtwo? Let me know. 348 US on that pre-release price point. Right now selling for 321. Not massive drops. If you're going to be pretty much forking out that kind of money, you can pretty much choose between one or the other. I think Destined Rivals Mewtwo right now is still a little bit more expensive than that. You know, there is a chance that it's going to come down. One thing you got to remember as well, when Prismatic Evolutions released, every single special illustration rare was like 85 US plus, every single one. And now when you look at it, there's a lot of SIRs from Prismatic Evolutions. Some of them are like 40 US, some of them are 50 US. A lot of those prices did eventually come down, and there was that massive hype period. Right now in Ascended Heroes, it is the most dangerous time to buy. Sure, you can get lucky and you can buy something and, you know, a year later, it's going to double in price. That can happen, sure. But it's more likely than not, if you're looking at how Pokemon cards behave right now, it is the most dangerous time to be over leveraging yourself with this set. I'll definitely be waiting this one out for a while, and that's my approach anyway. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. I'm not buying singles for this. I'm not rushing in Ascended Heroes at all, to be honest. And moving on to the Ascended Heroes Elite Trainer boxes, we're selling for 179 US, went down to 118, bumped back up to 158. Right now selling for 117 US. Look, at 117 US, I'm not going to say it's cheap. It's that you definitely have to fork out a lot of money just to own one of these ETBs. But I suppose as well at the same time, given how popular Pokemon cards are and how everything's kind of increased pricing wise in this hobby, if you do want to get it, depending on how much more reprints happen with the sealed product, your sealed's a different game. If you want to buy it, I don't think it's that bad of a choice at 117 with especially if we compare it to Prismatic Evolutions or Paldean Fates or Crown Zenith, any of those sets in this same time period. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of hype right now for Ascended Heroes across the board. A lot of people are really, really bullish on this set. Now, as I did mention earlier in the video, I actually am opening a Japanese 151 booster box and giving away all the hits, along with opening up some prismatic evolutions on my upcoming Whatnot stream on 1st March, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, today's video is sponsored by Whatnot. Now, if you're a first timer, Whatnot is essentially a live shopping platform where you can bid on products all in real time. You can also engage with creators and just chill out in streams. And honestly, if you've never tried it before, I find my streams are a real chill and easy way to learn the platform. And for this upcoming stream, I honestly can't wait to open the Japanese 151 booster box because I really want to know which Master Ball Reverse Holo will be pulled. Now, what's awesome is if you are a first timer, what's really cool is that you can actually get a $15 credit to use on the app. You can head to the link in the description or scan the QR code appearing on screen right now. A huge shout out to Whatnot for supporting the channel. I can't wait to see you on the stream. Now let's get back into the video. Here we go with the Mega Meganium. Was selling for 143 US, right now selling for $98. It's interesting that the starter Pokemon, the Feraligatr, the Meganium, the Emboar, they're all kind of dropping really quickly, which is interesting because you would think like the collector base is so fixated on the cards they want, which is the Pikachu, the Gengar, and the Dragonite, which I'll be showing you the Dragonite and the Gengar a little bit later on. As you can see, 98 US for the Mega Meganium, and I do think it still has a little bit of room to drop. It's just new, it's all fresh, but like there's so many special illustration rares, so we have to really see what happens with all these singles. And Steven's Metagross was selling for $125 in that pre-release or that early days pricing. Right now selling for 88 bucks. So yeah, I mean 88 US for a SIR for Metagross. Really loved Pokemon. I don't know, like this is the thing, there's just so many SIRs in this set. It is very reminiscent of Prismatic Evolutions without the evolutions. You just have a lot of like heavy hitters, a lot of pseudo legendaries. There's a lot to say about Ascended Heroes like in terms of its future. Right now, I'm thinking, like I said, and I already said it, it's a good thing to just kind of pause and wait for it because we just don't know where prices are going to go for this set. Now, something interesting with the illustration rares, I've seen some like big price dips with these. The Scorbunny was selling for 18, right now selling for 12 bucks. So in terms of percentage decrease, yeah, I mean, it's decreased quite a fair bit. And there's definitely is room for these illustration rares to keep dropping. If you're looking at like Phantasmal Flames, the illustration rares for those, they're like nearly every illustration rare is under 10 bucks. So there is a big kind of drop with the illustration rares in particular for Phantasmal Flames. I'm wondering for these and for Ascended Heroes, will that follow the same pathway? Maybe. I mean, there's just so much volume of cards. Like I always say, but like there has to be a market for everyone that wants all of these. It's going to be hard to always just meet that market demand. One that's interesting that I didn't actually think would get this low is the Mighty Ina. Was selling for 21 US. Right now selling for just pretty much shy of $11. 10 bucks pretty much. I mean, that to me, like the Mighty Ina for me, this card in particular, I was thinking was actually going to be more of like a wanted illustration rare. Hasn't had that much representation in the TCG. A lot of love there. It is a bit of a fan favorite as well, especially for those Gen 3 fans. I really thought this one would do better. So I'm actually interested to see that. Will be cool to see how this kind of, all these illustration rares, how they perform over a while. Don't forget that we did have, was it last year, there was a massive illustration rare buyout. These things can happen as well with some of these like quieter kind of cards as well. They always can, they do have the room to grow, but definitely this one I think is under the radar. Now also, just something to note in the Pokemon hobby, I know it can be a little bit confusing, though one of the best places to keep up to date with everything that's happening with Pokemon cards is on my channel's Discord. We have over 11,000 active members. You're also the first to know about upcoming live streams as you will get directly notified about them. The server invite is in the video's description. Now another one, the illustration rares are actually quite well priced as well, but one that's dropped is the Beautifly. Selling for $13. Right now selling for $6.80. This to me is interesting because I thought the artwork is really cool. It's got that like vintage look about it. I really thought that this one was going to be a little bit more in demand, but there you go. You can see the illustration rares, and there's that kind of changing landscape with collectors where everyone just wants SIRs, and when it comes to illustration rares, people are just like, yeah, palm it off, who cares, want my SIRs. Yeah, but like the illustration rares are definitely looking okay if you wanted to pick them up. So as I was saying, the cards that have been climbing, one of them is the Mega Dragonite. When check this one out, was selling for around that 450 US, or around that like January period, late January. Now it's selling for around $573. Really, really expensive chase card at the moment. The pull rates for specific SIRs on Ascended Heroes are really difficult. The chases that everyone wants is the Mega Dragonite, the Pikachu cards, and of course the Mega Gengar. They're very much in demand. They will have a big market there. These may be, the only ones that I'm kind of thinking out of all the cards are the Mega Dragonite and the Mega Gengar and that Pikachu SIR. They're the ones that I would be monitoring because it just depends on how many people want these in their collections and what price they're willing to pay. Right now selling for $573, I do think that's very, very expensive. Do I think it can drop? I definitely do think it has a lot of room to go down, especially because it's early days. But the only thing is, and if it becomes a bit of a hype cycle like Bubble Mew, or if there's a bit of a nickname that happens like with Gengar and it gets called Sludge Gengar, something like that where it becomes a Moonbryon or a Bubble Mew, and if it gets a nickname, just watch out. And I mean, I'm looking at the Gengar right now. Gengar was selling for $959, went down to $837, right now selling for $889. So you can see it wasn't just going down. It wasn't just following that pathway of just dropping. It did have a bit of a reversal period. One thing about these cards, and like I said, if a card does get a nickname, forget about it. That's when you know. If it gets an actual established nickname, that's when you know it's going to become iconic, right? In terms of this Gengar, do I think that $889 is a good price? I think it is a little bit overpriced at the moment. Yes, the pull rates are hard, but it's such early days for Ascended Heroes, though when we look at massive chase cards from the eras, we've got the Bubble Mew, we've got the Moonbryon. Yes, Moonbryon's very expensive, but it took years to get there, so like let's leave that one out for this topic right now. You've got the Prismatic Evolutions Umbreon, which is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Moonbryon was expensive, then that one became expensive. Here right now at $889, I do think that's overs. I do think that, you know, even though they're very difficult to pull, I think Ascended Heroes, we're going to be still getting a lot of product, you know, throughout all of 2026 for Ascended Heroes. There is definitely room for these to drop. Though with all these Ascended Heroes prices, I do think questions about Pokemon for 2026 are coming up, especially when thinking of mistakes to avoid, as honestly, they're becoming much more common. And if you do want to know the most important mistakes to avoid this year, I do speak about that in this video on screen right here. Within this video on screen, I go over the most common Pokemon mistakes to avoid in 2026. Click the video that's appearing on screen. Appreciate you watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.